So I've been away from this image for a few days, and during that time I've made a few alterations. Put some more lights in just underneath the tops of these arches, just to increase the contrast a bit there. I've done some more work on these tables and chairs. I've just put in some lines that suggest the tabletops, and I've played around with some of the tones in this background area as well. So now the bare bones of the painting are done. This is the faffing stage, I guess, for those of you that like to fiddle away continuously with your work. So minor alterations really. I'm just taking a look and thinking what needs doing. I need to do some brush strokes to suggest light hitting the tables, and then we'll smarten up these chairs. Just mix some burnt umber, some titanium white and some yellow ochre. Give my brush a spray with some water, make the paint nice and loose, and then we'll just go in and see how they work as highlights. Yeah, that'll be fine. Just some simple strokes. And then stick a bit more white on my brush and just go over those so that the far edge is nice and light. A bit in there as well. And I like this colour, so just while I've got this on my brush, we'll just put some warmer tones under these arches, I think. They're quite warm at the back, so I think if I just go in with that colour, I can just use it to put some nice highlights in, yeah. Some highlights in those arches. For these highlights, I'm using fairly confident strokes of the brush. I want the colour just to sit on the top and kind of remain on its own so it does stand out as a highlight. So although this is the kind of fiddling stage, I've still got big brushes. I'm still making overall decisions that are affecting the picture as a whole. So although most of the picture's now done, I'm still using big brushes and still making bold decisions when I need to. You know, if something needs changing, change it. And it's the same principle as when you started the picture. Get your big brushes out and get the colour on, get the paint moving. So that's some sort of overall editing on the tonal values done. I want to go and just finish off this area of grass and the parts of the cathedral that are showing through from behind the arches. So I'm just going to go in with a smaller brush and have a go at just sorting that area out once and for all. I've got some olive green, some Naples yellow. We'll give that a try. Yeah, that's quite nice. I've got a different brush here. It's fairly dry at the moment, and I'm just really scrubbing on some colour, using it fairly dry. I don't want to entirely mask all the colour that's already there, but I do want some variation, so that's why I'm using the dry brush. So the colours that were already there will be picked out. Just loosen that up a bit with my fingers. Just scratch some of the colour out with the end of a brush. Nice highlight running across that grass. And then, like I was saying, getting the balance right. So this area's got some detail in, but not so much that it's going to overpower the rest of the image. So bit of titanium white and some burnt umber. So warm grey browns. And then with a fairly watered down brush, we'll just go in and sort a few of these areas out. So what I'm doing is just looking at the big blocks of shadow and tone that are in the detail work in the background there. And then I'm just going to use this brush to give the impression of some of those shadows, windows, bits and pieces. So just using quite soft tones, I've gone into this background area and done quite a bit of work there, just reinstating a few bits that had been lost and just bringing it forward slightly. So we've got some sense of the architecture of the cathedral in the background there. Next, I just want to, there's quite a lot of blue tones just down here in the foreground on these slates. So I'm just going to quickly mix up a bluey grey, and we'll see what that looks like when we put some down. Yeah, that's not bad. So just where there are some greyish tones, I'm just going to use the edge of my brush just to suggest those. So we're creating nice diversity in our foreground, so there's lots of visual texture, lots of visual interest. Just give these areas a spray and just want to drag my brush and really diluting the paint quite strongly here, so we're almost just glazing a very watered down blue across here. Just a few pale blue highlights just with the edge of my brush. There's a few glints of blue on some of these chairs, so just a few suggestions here and there just to stop them looking too much like silhouettes. So for these big bold marks, I'm using the paint pretty dry. Remember, you can always go and soften the edges if you want to, just by spraying with some water, blending it with your thumb or the end of a clean brush. So if you apply the paint fairly bold, certainly for things like highlights and finishing touches where you want them to remain quite strong and sit on top of the surface, then you can go back if needs be and just soften them with some water, or if you want to leave it a bit longer, with some unlocking fluid. I'm just going to put in a few strokes that will help give the sense of perspective. So just to suggest where there might be tiles or slates on the floor. Few perspectival lines heading down, again drawing your eye into the image. Nearly there. Last few marks I'm going to make are just going to be some nice warm highlights that should just finish everything off. So I'm just mixing Naples yellow, titanium white, touch of yellow ochre, maybe a touch of crimson. Yeah, lovely. Alright, the final strokes then. So nice warm highlights just down on these last arches. Quick, barely touching the canvas. Quick strokes of the brush. Getting plenty of paint on the brush, using it fairly dry now. A few little touches. Quick spot in the grass. Okay, that's the whole painting complete. I think hopefully I've captured the sense of light and the sense of depth and perspective that was in the image. It's a fantastic location because no matter what time of day it is, you've got a lot of strong light contrasting against these dark arches, and also this idea of the cathedral and the architecture of the building in the distance there. I think it works okay as an image. Again, it's a good exercise for learning about tone and thinking about contrast in your paintings. It's by no means perfect, but it's all about improving and learning how to use the medium.